Greetings Spartans, and welcome to another Prop House. On this episode, we're going to be building the HAZOP helmet from Halo Reach. This build was suggested by user 3D Burger. If you have suggestions for future builds, be sure to leave them in the comments section below. Before we can start, we're going to need to 3D print the parts for this build, the models for which were designed by Mo Sislak on Thingiverse. Links to where you can find the models for this build, as well as some of his other work, will be in the description below. And with that out of the way, let's get right into it. And of course, we're going to start off with... Actually, we won't. Instead, we're going to do a process known as PLA Welding. In order to PLA weld, we're going to take a soldering iron and set it to approximately 300 degrees Celsius. We'll then take our two pieces, line them up, and start melting the plastic together. This will form a stronger bond than what we would get with glue, as well as make it easier for smoothing out the two pieces later on. Now that the pieces are welded together, we can move on to sanding. Of course, I gotta clean this up first. For areas which require a little more shaping, we're going to use this Dremel tool. This will allow us to quickly remove material without having to spend hours sanding it away. Now we'll jump outside and spray this down with a primer and filler. And then once it's dry, we'll give it a quick sanding to smooth it down. If you do end up buying this, I would avoid buying the black one. As you can see, it creates quite a mess. And with that cleaned up, we'll move on to coloring with some black, silver, and blue spray paint. We're going to start off by giving it a black base coat. Once that's dry, we'll then mask off the areas where we want to paint it blue. However, before we do that, we're instead going to spray it with some silver spray paint. You'll see why in a minute. Once the silver is dry, we'll then spray it with some blue spray paint, and then take a paper towel or piece of paper and scrape bits of it away in order to create wear or battle damage. Once it's dry, we'll take off the masking tape and get ready to move on to the next step. Now that we're ready to start painting, we can move on to adding some more of the finer details and additionally adding some more weathering. We're going to start off with a little bit of black, filling in areas which might not have gotten masked off properly. Finally, to add a bit more weathering, we're going to take some sandpaper and scrape away at the piece, and then apply a little bit of silver paint. Finally, we'll take it back outside and give it a quick clear coating. Now we'll move on to creating the visor. As you may remember from last time, the vacuum forming didn't go so well. So this time, we're instead just going to heat up the plastic sheet and pull it over the model of the visor. In order to do this, we're going to take a heat gun and just sort of run it over the plastic material until it gets close to its melting point. After that, we'll then quickly pull it over the model of the visor and apply a bit more heat to get it to form better to the shapes and molds. Once the plastic form is dry, we'll then spray it with an automotive taillight tint. Finally, we'll cut out the shape of the visor in order to fit into the helmet. Finally, we're going to glue the mask into the visor. To do this, we'll be taking some hot glue and applying it around the perimeter of the visor.